There we go. Thank
Oh,
you guys for being here. Cup of gratitude, conversations to inspire and uplift with my guest, Liz Legarde. I am so excited to have Liz here. I've known Liz, I think, for a couple years now, and we were at a conference a year ago. I don't remember when, and um, I heard her kind of talking about gratitude a little bit, and I went, oh my God, I have to have her in my cup of gratitude. And so we're just going to kind of take it as I usually do, where we kind of just chat about things. And certainly, this is an opportunity for conversation. So if somebody has a question or has thoughts they want to share, absolutely welcome to that. It's an open kind of forum. Um, I'm Lisa, life coach here, and supporting people live a life in harmony with their vision, with their values, with their goals. And one of my favorite things to do is host my cup of gratitude calls, where I bring on a guest and we talk. I always say all things gratitude, and that just sounds so I don't know. But anyways, that is what we do. So, Liz, you are a potterer extraordinaire that makes the most
wow.
amazing mugs. And so right now she has you just kind of launched your Love Your Morning collection just
Mhm.
very recently.
Oh,
And kind of with the notion that starting your morning with gratitude will lead to greater joy. And I was like, oh, that's just perfect timing. So, Liz, you want to share a little bit about how you got into pottery first, just because I've never had somebody kind of in the arts and crafts world kind of come on here. And so I always love those stories. Not, I don't even know.
mhm.
I know a little of your story, but so
I actually fell into pottery by accident. I went to school, college for in my interior design degree, and you had to take some electives just to fill out your hours and round out your ideas. So I was dead set on taking a painting class, and you needed a prerequisite for drawing. I think you had to take like drawing two, and I didn't have it. So I was like, I guess I'll take this pottery class. Like, how hard can it be? I knew nothing about pottery. I didn't even know that like pottery was a big thing. I like knew that there are some potters in New England. I'm sorry, give me just one sec. Sage, stop it.
her cats.
Oh, yes. Oh, good. Bring the cat on. Yeah.
I
Well,
told her not to worry.
the
Yep.
dust in here is not great for them, but one of them has started trying to climb over the baby gate I have, and I just don't
Oh,
want her to hurt herself.
No.
Um, yeah, so I didn't even know like pottery is a big thing. This was back in 2015, 2016. So like it was even before Instagram was really big. So I was like, I'll just take this pottery class. And I was terrible at it. Everybody else in the class had already like taken it in high school. So they were just, having fun. And I like could not figure it out for the life of me. So I spent every extra hour I had during the day at night, bringing down my friends and like, hey, can you just sit with me while I throw these pots? I had some friends in the class and I fell in love with it very quickly.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And you make some amazing mugs. Um,
Thank you.
and so you launched your Love Your Morning collection as kind of the idea of gratitude leading
Mhm.
to a life with greater joy. And so I'm kind of curious, I think a lot of us kind of get led from one thing or another to kind of gratitude practices. And I've certainly had guests that that's not the case. But I'm just kind of curious, have you always kind of had a gratitude practice, or was there something that kind of drew you to gratitude?
I think growing up, it was always like be thankful practice that I was
Yes.
taught, like, oh,
Yep.
make sure you thank so and so, make sure you are thankful for this, Thanksgiving, thankfulness. And it wasn't until I was recovering from COVID that there's not a lot I could do because I got very sick, and was reading some books, and I just wanted to like feel better and get better and just like move on from like having tough it
Mhm.
was like a lot of my mornings were just very heavy, very tough, and I was bummed that like I couldn't get up and go make my art or go do this thing or
Mhm.
that thing, and a lot of like comparing myself to my past self or my future self or my friends of just leading a different life. So I read the book Atomic Habits, and then I read the book, oh, I probably should have looked up. It was one of the books by Brene Brown,
Mhm.
and she talked about gratefulness and how in order to lead a joyful life you need to practice gratitude. And I was like, well, of course I want a joyful life, like who doesn't? But
Mhm.
it was hard, like
Mhm.
waking up every morning in bed and like not being able to like get up and go do things because I was in so much pain. So her thing was an observable gratitude practice will like really help you like propel your gratitude practice forward. And then in Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about casting votes for the person you want to become. So I was like, okay, I want to be filled with joy. I do not want to be like bummed out every morning. And I want to just like get out there and be joyful. So, what's something that like, and habit stacking is really big in his book. So, like, whatever you're doing already, you can start a new habit by just, so like, if you, and think of an easy example. If you want to floss your teeth, you're brushing your teeth every morning. So, just do it then, which is
Mhm.
obvious. And so I was like, well, the one thing I can do every morning is get a cup of coffee for my husband. Like he would bring me coffee. And that is how I start my day every morning. And that's not going anywhere. So I had the idea to come up with some grateful mugs. I think it was the fall of 2020, 2021. Because I realized like if I'm starting my day remembering to be grateful, it can only go up from there. Like I had so much to be grateful. I had a husband who was taking care of me. We had 2 cats at the time. Like there was more in my life than just my pain in that moment that I had to be grateful for. And so that's where I started my gratitude practice. And I really feel like having that in the morning, and then like as I make my art, it's very easy to get stuck of like, what do I do next? Or if I run into like a bump in the road, it's easy to spiral down, but gratitude is the thing I always go back to like pull me out of that unjoyful spiral.
Under that, out of that stuckness. Yes. And because I remember this story now. Were you sick for a long time? Did you have, I feel like you had it extra tough with
Yeah,
the
I
COVID.
had a hole in my lungs from COVID. And so it just
A
a
hole?
It was
spontaneous
just
hole burst into my lungs, and miraculously, so I went to the ER. They said there's nothing we can do for you. We have to send you home, come back in the morning to get an x-ray, and we'll see what we can do. So they put me on some pain medication, gave me some IV fluids to rehydrate me, and sent me home. And like that is a terrifying thing when the doctor goes, yeah, I don't know, I've never seen this before. And I'm like,
Oh,
what do you mean? Um, so it just was pain for a lot of weeks. It was,
Mm.
walking up the stairs, I was out of breath. Going everything, because like when your nervous
Mm.
system is flipped upside down on itself, you're just like this ball of nerves. So I was just anxious for a really long time. I was in a lot of pain and I was out of breath like
Mm.
just all the time. So it
thank
was
you,
it was a
Liz.
long road.
It was a long road, right? Thank you for sharing your story, Liz, because
You're welcome.
I know when hear of people getting COVID, because when I've had it, I think of it as sick for a little bit and you get over it, you know what I mean? And so just to kind of put things into perspective, what a
Mhm.
challenge it was for you.
Right.
And so did you start off kind of like like with just one little kind of grateful in the morning kind of with your mug, or what, like how did your gratitude practice kind of evolve over time, kind of from when you had COVID to what it looks like now? I'm kind of curious about that. And it's
It's
always fun to
definitely
see how they change, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things I want to be better about, but I try to end my day with my husband of like, okay, what was the highlight of your day? So we share that,
Mhm.
and then like what's
Yep.
one thing we're grateful for. And so that really helps us. I would say that's the thing we do the most right now is just like asking each other like what we were grateful for at the end of the day to kind of end our day on a high note.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of end your day with a gratitude practice. And
Mhm.
what about in the middle of your pottery? Do you find like that you kind of um, go to a kind of thinking about gratitude kind of in the making of your mugs?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's
Mhm.
very easy to get like as an entrepreneur who works at home in their own home and like I mean I go to the post office, I do things, but like I'm home a lot, so it's very easy to see all the tasks
Mhm.
piling up and get overwhelmed and think like, okay, well, I should be doing this and I have all these other things to do. And then I just like take a moment to ground myself and like look around the room and be like, I made that mug yesterday. I made those 2 mugs a few days ago. I made those 20 mugs sitting in the kiln ready to get glazed. So like being grateful for the progress I have made is something I do throughout like
The day. Yeah.
throughout the day, throughout the process of pottery of like if I make a mess, it's a tool I would say that I use to reframe when I get frustrated or overwhelmed or disappointed, which, happens most days. And it's very
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, but I am human.
No,
Oh,
right, right,
preach,
right.
preach, sister, preach. I know.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
and
like
I think
I
go ahead, Liz. Go ahead.
Oh, so with pottery, it's when you're first starting out or you're trying a new technique, it's you have a 50-50 shot of success. And I mean, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but like a mug not turning out right. And so it's very easy to just get that like sucker punch to the gut of like another failure, or the kiln misfires and you're like, here we are again. It's just one more thing. But I think having a gratitude practice for me has really, over time, stopped that oh crap moment
Mhm.
of like, I know it's going to be okay. I made it this far. I have the skills I have to keep like being thankful that I get to come back tomorrow and try again really helps me.
And I think that, right, using gratitude as a way of reframing is just such a powerful way of kind of tending to our mindset when we kind of get into that kind of feeling overwhelmed or that scarcity thinking kind of like, oh no, right? Like
Mhm.
you get to do this, it just
Yeah,
is, and it's such a gift. Your mugs are just, they're fun. So
thank
so so does anybody have any questions, whether it's about pottery or about anything? I always want to be able to open the floor up for thoughts, reflections, or questions, or anything. No.
I had a
I love,
question and it
okay,
was
go
in
ahead.
my head and then it went back out. So I,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
Go ahead,
but
Go ahead,
it'll come
Cindy.
back. It'll come back.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. That's Cindy.
Well, I love pottery, and that's partly why
Mhm.
I joined this group. So good
you.
for you for
Yeah.
doing that. I love
Mhm.
it. I just love
Thank
the
you. Thank
the
you.
shape and the way you can, take your hands and your thoughts and turn them into something. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering if the act of
Mm.
sort of using that wheel, I'm assuming you use a wheel or maybe you do coil. You
I
use,
do a wheel, yes.
I'm wondering if sort of that act of using the wheel helps you focus your thoughts and maybe sort of direct how you think as you're making these things. So like, does it make you think about your life and think about the things that you're grateful for as you're making these things? And in a way, are you transferring that into what you design?
Oh, what
I
a great question,
That
Cindy.
is a good question. I don't
Mm.
know if you guys are on Instagram, but there's this viral reel theme going around that's like people do pottery because it quiets the mind. And I
Mhm.
think that it doesn't quiet my mind, but it allows me to slow down enough to like catch the thoughts and really like be more thoughtful and so like as I'm on the wheel, I'll usually be listening to music or I'll call a friend or something. But there's definitely that like repetitive motion that can slow things down and help me be more intentional with my thoughts instead of like I used to be a manager at a bakery, and so you're just running around all day, grabbing the next croissant, making the next coffee. And with art now, I feel like I am a lot more calm on the inside of a person. Calm, yeah.
Yeah.
So I do feel like there's I think there are studies too of like moving through anxiety, like exercise really helps people. And so I think art, I mean, pottery's super physical. It allows me to like take all the swirling thoughts, slow it down, and do that reframe.
Mm.
And I find it so fascinating, and I'm just excited that like you went to school for one thing and you took
Mhm.
this class and you've totally turned your life into something different than what you had anticipated, but it's something that you're passionate about. And I love that piece of it too, you know. And you have two mugs behind you. I can
Mhm.
barely see them. So do you want to show
Yep.
them? Just the
This
mugs.
was one of my first grateful mugs.
Oh.
So it's just very simple, but like as you hold it,
Mm.
it even is a little raised. So you're like feeling the letters of
Yeah.
gratitude
Yep.
as you have your coffee. And all my mugs are dishwasher or microwave safe. So you can like bring it into every part of
Mhm.
your day. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, you can hand wash it, but you can just reheat your coffee or you can have
Mm.
tea at night. So like you can
Mhm.
constantly be grabbing for that gratitude. And then this is part of the Love Your Morning collection. So like I brought these
Ooh.
two together, like and a couple other like positive affirmation mugs
Mhm.
of
What is
like,
that? What does that one say,
Love
Liz?
to create. Oh,
oh,
born to
born to
create.
create.
Born to
Oh,
create.
Yeah.
nice.
So like as you reach for the person you want to become, I know so many artists get stuck with like
Mhm.
just restarting an art practice or putting the first paint stroke on the brush, paint on the canvas.
Yeah.
And so it's part of the Love Your Morning collection of like, if you're an
Mm.
artist, if you're someone who wants to be grateful, like
Mhm.
grab the reminder you need that morning.
Yeah.
I love the context for that born to create because I
Mhm.
think that I've seen it, but I didn't have a context for it. So kind of
Mhm.
hearing you say that
Mhm.
just makes me love that one more. And you have a mug that also says joyful. And so
I do.
those are, I have,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I have one that is Ignite, and then I have a
Oh,
plain one, not a plain one. Well, you know,
The swirl.
the swirl.
well,
Yeah.
it's a beachy one. That was.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's got that good beach color. Yeah, the ocean
It
color.
does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yep.
Actually, Liz, I don't know that one day I went to the beach at high tide, well, for sunrise, and I had my phone in one hand and my mug in the other hand, and the tide was coming in, and I had to whoop up, and I fell backwards, and my phone and like nothing got hurt. Nothing. I didn't
Oh,
get hurt. My mug stayed safe. My phone stayed safe. I was very grateful.
They're also durable.
That mug
yeah.
lost my coffee,
Yeah.
but
Liz, where are your mugs, or how are they, available or accessible?
Yeah,
I
so
really love that one with the grateful, I'll call it a tag, the
yeah.
accoutrement on that one. I love that one.
I mostly sell online,
Okay.
mapleleafpottery.com. I'm located in Merrimack, New Hampshire, and there's a local um lo local consignment, but like they have local
Mhm.
makers as well, called Junction 71, right in
Oh,
Merrimack as
yeah.
well.
I'm in
Um,
Nashua, and I have been
okay.
to Junction 71. Yep.
Yep. So
Oh, okay.
I think they have a couple Grateful mugs there. I maybe have one on my website, but I do like, it'll take me maybe 3 to 6 weeks to make,
Yeah.
40 to 100 mugs. And then
Oh,
the last two collections have sold out. Usually like the ones people are anticipating the most sell out in a couple hours. And I had my last sale Friday, but there's still
wow.
maybe 20 or 30 mugs on the website right
Mhm.
now. But I'll have more of
Okay.
those if you sign up for my newsletter.
Okay.
And
Great.
there's a link to her website in my newsletter. And I will do,
Oh,
I always put a link, like when I put the gratitude calls on my website, I also put a link, like I'll put a link to her maple leaf pottery so that
oh,
it can,
cool. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
I really
but
like that idea of feeling the gratitude
Yeah.
Mhm.
as you're
Yeah.
drinking. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like
I'm a
that
and
very
idea.
that,
like textured person. Like I'll like go
Mhm.
to the store and like I touch the blankets and the sweaters and everything.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of
right.
satisfaction in tactile,
Mhm.
communication with different items, and the different feels and the different fabrics, smooth, minky, bumpy, like a chenille, the chenille bedspreads from way back when I was a kid, and I would kneel on the floor in my parents' bedroom, and they had that, and I don't know, I kind of thought of it as a train, and I would run my fingers over the bumps in the chenille. Oh,
Oh, that's
hours. Oh, for hours I would do that. So yeah.
Well, and I think as
Cool.
Cindy's kind of talking about that kind of like holding like
Mhm.
that tactile piece, I think makes you feel more centered, which I think is what you were kind of talking about, Cindy, kind of as you're kind of throwing the clay to that kind of the whole process. So
Mhm. Yeah.
I will say back to your question, Cindy, it's funny if I'm having a bad day and I'm not being like intentional or I'm frustrated, like it will come out on the wheel immediately. So you kind of are always like, I gotta be like, I mean, you don't have to be on your
Yep.
A game, but if you're not paying attention, if you're grumpy, your pieces are just not going to
Right.
hold that energy.
And
which is so
people
such a
might
neat.
Mm.
relate,
Yep.
some people might relate to those things that are not perfect too. Like that
Yeah.
energy
Right.
that you
Yep.
put in, like a off-center mug might be like
Yep.
what you would want in a day,
Yep.
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
I had a thought, but
Sorry.
no, not
Yeah.
at all. Um, do you have any other kind of thoughts on new lines coming up, or just kind of
Mm.
sticking with the Love Your Morning collection and kind of
Mhm.
growing that?
I'm working on a collaboration with Ann Woodman for Mother's Day. I can't say too much, but she is a jewelry artist.
Oh,
So,
she's actually my next cup of
Ooh.
gratitude guest.
oh.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I'll be doing. Like I'll do more Love Your Morning and a collaboration with her for Mother's Day. And then someone recommended they'd love
Mm.
to see more of like the Born to series. So
Yeah,
I have some more of those. I just got to order the stamps.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess, and maybe expanding the Love Your Morning collection is where I'm headed for this year, or at least for the next launch. I try to take it one
One,
month at a
one,
time.
1 month at a time. Actually, I was, as you were
Yeah.
saying, Born to series, I was like, oh, like Born to Dance, Born to
Yeah.
Sing, Born.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yep,
could,
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Born to Dream, I think, was one of the ones she recommended. And I was like, I feel like a lot of people need that reminder to start their day.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Very cool. Very cool. And so I know I often ask about books. And so we've talked a little bit about, right, Atomic Habits, which
Mhm.
I'm reading right now. Um, and so those, and the Brené Brown book. We'll have to figure out what book that
Mhm.
is. And then I can even include it in your, in like when I post it on my website kind of deal. So,
Mm.
I
because,
Mm.
I think it's her Gifts of Imperfection.
ooh,
That's the one I think
Ooh.
it is. I know I have that and Atlas of the Heart in paper copy, but I think
it makes sense that it would be in that Gifts of Imperfection, just kind of by the
yeah.
title and the, yeah. So anyways. Um,
I really like her podcast. Have you listened to her podcast?
she's
I
got,
haven't, but I probably need to. I feel like when I tried to, I think she was taking a break from it.
yeah, she has Brene Brown has some great stuff. I know sometimes, I use quotes a lot, and sometimes I'm like when I've done courses and stuff, I've done a lot of quotes, and I'm like, I just used 4 Brene Brown quotes in a row. I can't do that. But
She
they
does
speak
have the
to
best
me.
quotes.
Does. She does. Um, so I love your evening practice because for me, that's the hardest time for me to do some kind of gratitude practice. I kind of heavy in the morning on that. So it's always fun to hear different ideas on. Do you ever write down things you're grateful for, Liz? Or
I do. I have a grateful jar that like matches the mugs, and so it's like
Oh.
a ceramic jar. I haven't
yeah,
made any in a while, but so I used to write stuff down on there. I love like pictures. So sometimes I'll just like go through my pictures, like if I'm on a plane or in the airport, like waiting, and I'll like text people like, "Oh, I'm just so grateful for you." So I think like the
oh,
visual with
Mhm.
the picture, or the picture with the gratitude, for me is very helpful.
Mhm.
Um,
I love that, Liz. That
yeah.
is such a fun idea, right? Like to just send a picture and I'm great. I'll have
Yeah.
to try that because in some of my workshops, I've done like pull out your phone and text somebody something that you're grateful for
Mhm.
or kind of deal. But I've never thought to do it with a picture. And like that just
Mhm.
like that brings it to a whole different experiential level because I mean, now we all have pictures. So yeah,
Yeah.
that I love that. So
Mhm.
that's a fun idea.
I also
Yeah.
like that idea of a jar, and I was thinking like you would write something and put it in the jar, is what I
Yeah.
was thinking you were
Yeah.
saying. Then I
Mhm.
thought if you have one of those days where you can't come up with something, you can pull your
Mhm.
old one out of the jar and say, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
I
this is
like that.
Yeah, no, I
Right.
think right as a reminder of those things that
Mhm.
you've been grateful for, and even at the end of a month, kind of all the different things that over the course of that month that you have. I know people talk about doing that for a year, but like what you would need to hold a year's worth of little pieces of paper is a lot. So I
Yeah,
mean,
you can
by
always
month,
like put like a Polaroid in the jar if you like have one of those Polaroid cameras, or like
Mhm.
I go to a Red Sox game with my dad every year, so I can put like, well, I guess they don't print them out as cool anymore, but like, like almost like tokens from a
Mhm.
moment of gratitude. Like if Lisa, if you go to the beach, you can put like a seashell you found in the
Mhm.
gratitude jar, so it like
oh
reminds you
right.
next time you open
Mhm.
it.
Oh, we are going to
Yeah.
expand on gratitude jars. How fun is that, right? Different.
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting is
Yeah, that's great.
you used to, like, if you went to a Red Sox game or you went to a concert, you always had a ticket stub. And
Yeah.
like, I can tell you, we have ticket stubs around the house from the 70s.
Mhm.
Or matchbooks. Remember when they had those?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that was almost like even like like you get to hang on to those things. And today,
Mhm.
right, there's no
Right.
ticket stubs.
Yeah.
No,
It's a bummer.
It
no.
is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fun though. What a fun idea.
Yeah, I
Stick
feel like
Mhm.
my
gratitude.
gratitude practice is more like visual.
Mhm.
Like I need something tactile to bring
Mhm.
it into focus.
Yeah.
Like writing is helpful for sure.
Yeah.
Like, if I make a to-do list, I can write what I'm like grateful for at the top, or if I'm doing like
Right.
my next collection, that's like a moment for me to reflect because I have pen and paper. But a
Right.
lot of the times I try to pull from something like a physical visual reminder is very helpful for me.
I love
That's
Oh,
awesome. That
thank
that
you.
is true because some people do get a lot of their
Mhm.
information through tactile, whether it's
tactile.
like memories that come back and also, your
Yeah.
sense of smell.
Smells.
Like those
Right.
things
Mhm.
are valuable and
Yep.
important.
Right. And I love old pictures. Like I knew when photos went digital,
Yeah.
that was just not good.
Yep.
And love old pictures.
Yeah.
But seeing like text one would be fun, like to,
Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah, fun
Like
memories.
if Facebook ever like reminds you have a friend's birthday, I always like to like send them a picture and be like, "Happy birthday, I miss you, grateful for you," or something like that.
Yeah, 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 right. Sometimes people do a lot of that, like post pictures and stuff. So this is such a fun twist on gratitude, I think, in terms of the tactile piece of it and that, kind of more uh, physical, experiential kind of.
Mhm.
So that's very fun. Fun to think
Mm.
about.
Oh, and I have like a little ring dish on my bedside table. So every time I take my wedding ring off, I'm putting it on there. And so, like, for me, that's a big reminder to be thankful for my husband and grateful for my husband and all he does. So that
Mhm.
one's one of my favorites too, because it's like right by my bed.
By your bed.
Mhm.
That's such a right. Such a neat kind of practice too. Is those things to be grateful for. But
Mhm.
and I guess that kind of makes me
Mhm.
think about like even folding laundry, right? And I can remember
Mhm.
Mhm.
years ago reading Everyday Blessings, where they talked about the and I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but it talked about the practice of folding laundry,
Mhm.
and it's such a chore. But if you, in the practice of folding laundry, so that was like three little kids, right? And so if you kind of use that as a meditation of
Mhm.
gratitude, being grateful for, little Ben as I folded a little shirt and kind
Mhm.
of thinking about the things to be grateful for each person as you're kind of folding the laundry is kind of another one of those mindfulness practices that is physical and kind of gets you to
Mhm.
shift from something being a chore to being grateful for the people in your life. So,
Mhm.
Yeah. I do that with
right.
the dishes because my husband takes care of the dishes, but I know like he's having a lot on his plate when there is a pile of dishes. So I'm like, oh, this is my moment to thank him and be grateful for all the hard work he's doing by taking that load off and then having that like you have those moments of tactile feedback similar to the laundry when you're
Mhm.
washing dishes.
Yep.
Oh, this is so fun to think
Mm.
about these like
Yeah.
physical ways of
Mhm.
being grateful. I'll have to
Yeah.
think. I think I'm going to start texting pictures.
Mhm.
It's just kind of a fun little surprise. So, anyways. Does anybody else have any questions or any other thoughts? This has been so much fun, and to hear all your. So wait, I do actually have a question, Liz. So currently, your practice is kind of the evening routine with your husband. When you first had COVID and were kind of moving into kind of being mindful of being grateful, um, what were you doing at that time? What was like, because right, it's baby steps. It's like kind of that like jumping over that hurdle. And so I think, sometimes for people to hear, what are those baby steps for kind of moving beyond a painful place? Was there anything in particular that um, you turned to for
I
practice?
definitely journaled more then because I was more still. So, like, if I was writing my to-do list for the next day, it would be more instead of just like a million things on it, I would try to like write out almost like a story is the wrong word, but like a narrative of like, when I get to this place, I am going to do this to make it like simplified. And then like writing in my day, like my gratitude of like, I'm grateful that I'm getting to go meet up with this friend. So like kind of like journaling, but like to-do list journaling, I guess.
Mhm.
So that was more
Yeah,
than
yeah.
Why
Kind
not?
of.
Sure. It's productive,
Mhm.
and you're still putting it using pen and paper and writing it down. So intention and purpose.
Right, it's
Mhm.
setting that intention, Liz. Right,
Sure.
right. To be grateful for.
And like
Yeah,
in my
and
business a lot, like writing emails and always including things I'm grateful for. So
Mhm.
I didn't blog much, and I don't blog at all really with my business right now, but when I send out my emails, especially like a couple years ago, it was a lot of like, I'm so grateful for like this happening in my life or this happening and stuff like that.
Very cool.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that. Right, even incorporating it into, like into your emails, into your business. So,
I know your
but
intent probably isn't to um, increase your business necessarily, but do you feel like it has done that as you've expressed those forms of gratitude? Do you feel like your business has improved?
Yes. I'm trying to like connect the pieces in my mind. I feel
I,
like it's like, what is correlation versus causation? I'm like, well, I'm grateful for all that I have in my business, and that has allowed me to like transform what I do bring into my business, which then I think has grown it. So, like, just processing here for a minute. Like,
yeah,
and I also think like sharing my story of gratitude has definitely like helped encourage others. Like sometimes I go online some days to like make my post and there's just so much negativity out there online and I'm like I just
Sure.
want my Instagram to show someone that is joyful and grateful.
and fun.
Yeah, and fun and fun.
You make you make some great reels.
Thank you. Yeah, so I do feel like it has. You know what? Yes, it has.
Good.
I feel like it has given me direction in my business again. Like you, when you start as an artist, you're like, what's my style? And my mugs are recognizable, but I never felt like
Mhm.
that was like my impact or my style. And since focusing on gratitude with my morning cup of coffee, saying grateful, or my afternoon cup of tea, I mean, even if I just open my mug cabinet, I see my grateful mug, even if I'm not grabbing it that day. I feel like has really shaped the impact of my business and like the Love Your Morning collection came from the Grateful collection. And that has been like I'll have people reach out and just say like, I love this mug. It's really helped me to do this or to remember this. And so I feel like I never would have connected the two, but yes, I think being grateful has helped grow my business as well.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Well, this has been fun. I'm trying to think if I have any other
Yeah.
questions for you, Liz. We can take a minute and think here. Yeah, her mugs are fun. It's Maple
Yeah.
Leaf Pottery, New Hampshire or NH kind of deal?
NH. Yeah.
So, but there's not much on there right now because you sold out, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of like wave mugs, a couple of heart mugs.
Yep.
So yeah, just some odds and ends. Like I have a bonfire mug on there, I think right now, but
Mhm.
I just picked up 1,000 pounds of clay today. And so I'll be working on that. Gotta have my husband will help unload that into the basement. Um, it's also like fun. I'm trailing off here, but like another gratitude thing for me in the studio is like to look around and like count the things I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
So it's like if I'm bringing in 1,000 pounds of clay,
Mhm.
it'll probably be like 700 mugs. Like that's 700 more moments and things to be grateful for. So I'm looking and I see like 8 mugs in front of me that are almost dry and maybe a dozen mugs on the other side. And I'm like, that is like 8 things I was able to do with my 2 hands that I'm grateful I get to do because 2 years ago, I didn't think I'd be able to do this much.
And 8 lives or 16 lives that you impact, because certainly
Yes.
I think that when I have other mugs that I love to drink from as well. But I think that when I drink from your mugs, I think just kind of because I know you and like Ignite mug and like so there is kind of the heart and soul behind it that like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like you can feel it's, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And because it's, you know, handmade, it's not store bought. So I know I had a question.
Yeah.
Can you pre-order things? Like if I were to go in and wanted to order joyful mugs, can you pre-order them or does that you just kind of have to time it right?
I don't have any pre-orders right now. But I was out of clay. So if you go on my website, it's kind of like if depending on how much clay I have, I might open and close pre-orders. But right now, I just kind of
Mhm.
have it. If um, you go to the contact page on my website, if you wanted to order a couple, I can let you know like what the timeline would be on that. Just with I think there's some supply chain stuff happening with clay right now because some
Oh,
of my clay is like back ordered till spring or summer.
oh
Like,
no. Wow. Oh, that's
yeah.
crazy.
So like I don't have pre-orders officially open right now because
Gotcha.
of that. But
Because
if
of
you were
that.
like, hey, I really want the grateful mug, can you make me one?
Mhm.
Just send me an email or
Gotcha. Right.
Okay.
just say you know Lisa and do a little link emoji.
Right.
I'll be like, I
Right.
got you.
Yeah. Kind of a soft pre-order. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pre-order, right?
If you don't mind waiting a month or
Yep.
two.
Right. Yeah. So anyways.
Nice.
Well, thank you. Does anybody else I do want to give time if somebody has another question or any other thoughts that they wanted to share. So,
Nope, I've signed up on the website,
Thank
Liz.
you.
Yep, for the newsletter, and yep. So I'm
Thank you,
reading
thank you.
about, hey, I'm Liz, and
yes.
yeah. So I'm going through it page by page.
Page
So
by
it's
page.
yeah,
Yes.
it's great,
Thank you,
So,
thank you.
and
wonderful.
thank you, Liz. Thank you for joining for sharing your story because I know it's not always easy to share those hard stories. But I remember being so touched when I first heard your story, I was like I just, I just remember that being so powerful. So thank you. And thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, it was
Appreciate
great. It was
It
great to know
was.
this. And you should feel so proud of yourself. You're an
Thank
amazing young woman.
Thank
To
Yeah.
have
you.
insight for at your age is really great.
I've
Yeah.
been called an old soul.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Nothing
are.
wrong.
Yes.
That's nothing wrong with that either. That's a gift, I
Sometimes I
think.
still get offered the kids menu, but you know, it happens at least once a year. No, I'm very short.
Oh my.
And my husband's like 6'3". I don't usually get offered it when I'm out with him, but like if I'm with my parents and I have some nieces and nephews, it's like,
You're one of the kids.
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
They tell me I'll like
okay.
it when I get older.
That's right.
Well, I'm going to